In a period of collapsing stock prices, is it even possible to find peace or even potential prosperity? If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Daniel and you're watching Unrivaled Investing, and no hype mission focused channel trying to find you exceptional companies and unrivaled investments. And it's no doubt that we live in a period of an extremely unsettling times. After nearly 2 years of grappling with a devastating pandemic, the world is thrown into yet another crisis with a cruel and horrible invasion by Russia into Ukraine. The subsequent oil shock from this invasion threatens an increasingly likely economic crisis as energy prices soar higher. Folks are talking about $200 a barrel potentially later this month. This could result in a global recession, maybe even worse, as higher energy prices crowd out discretionary spending. And people are starting to worry about more than just their energy bills, with basic essentials like food stability, as Russia and Ukraine represent nearly 1/3 of the global wheat production. And people around the world are even starting to worry about their very own survival. So in a period of incredible stressors, how are we supposed to find peace and potential prosperity? First, I think it's important to take a step back. As Yuval Harari called out in his wonderful book Sapiens, you need to understand that human society has developed a lot faster than you and me and everyone else has had a chance to evolve. The reality is that we just haven't had enough time to evolve from our hunter-gatherer roots. It is our instincts, our DNA, to constantly be on the lookout for the threats in the weeds that might kill us. But the reality is that the landscape of threats is constantly evolving. Here's a picture from the oil embargo, the energy crisis in the 1970s. So our genes are forcing us to ask, what is the next big threat? What is around the corner? And maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the right question is not what's going to kill us, but what's not going to change in the next 10 years. That's at least what Jeff Bezos has said. He talks about how I frequently get the question, what's going to change in the next 10 years? And that is a very interesting question. It's a very common one. I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And you start focusing on answers like quality service, low price, faster delivery, in summary, an unrivaled value proposition. All of these things come to mind. And there's arguably no better investor focused on what's not going to change than Warren Buffett. For example, Buffett recently called out how Berkshire's ownership of Burlington Northern Santa Fe will still be a key asset in 100 years. That's his belief. So as the stock market naturally responds, is volatile, potentially crashes to the current and real stressors that we face right now, investors like Warren Buffett will remain focused on companies with enduring value. So consider, as you're facing these stressors and you're watching your portfolio shrivel up, think about your time horizon. Are you focused on the stressors of this next day, this month, this year, which can have a very real impact on your portfolio? Or are you considering, what does this company look like over the next 3, 5, and 10 years? Ask yourself, how certain am I that this could come to pass for this business? Keep in mind, this is not saying you can just ignore business realities or investment valuations. That is the wrong way, in my opinion. You need to be mindful of both of those things. But if you focus on paying a fair or cheap price to potential earnings in the next few years, you might just feel comfortable no matter what the market is doing day to day. You see these stressors and you say, hey, I'm owning this business that I am confident will look like this in 5 to 10 years from now. It might not be an exact picture, but you can say, here's a range of possibilities in 5 to 10 years from now. Now, keep in mind, achieving a margin of safety with an investment is not just from a cheap valuation. That is definitely one source of a margin of safety, but from finding a business where you think about the stability of operations, where you're saying, yes, I am confident that this business could be bigger, or this is what they're going to be doing 5 to 10 years from now, that the competitive aspect isn't just going to completely unseat this business. An enduring value proposition. What are some other sources for finding peace and prosperity in a crashing market? One, if you're saving more than you're spending on an ongoing basis, you're inherently in a position to behave opportunistically. And similarly, if you have a cash reserve that you've saved to deploy for when bargains are really incredible, then you're also similarly in an anti-fragile position, because as stressors happen, which there will be major stressors, you can be in a position, if you have cash, even if it's slowly getting eroded by inflation, to act and buy quality enduring businesses at arguably and hopefully good values over time. You have to be patient and scour and look and wait for them. If this video has been helpful for you, please make a point of hitting that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. And if you're interested in joining a community of investors looking to potentially vent about how much they've recently lost, or just vent about their experience, or share their experience, share ideas, share their portfolio allocations, or talk about looking for the next potential multi-bagger, check out Unrivaled Investing, Unrivaled Investing. Check out, click join the journey. And I would love to hear your thoughts for how are you dealing with the current stressors, both macro and looking at individual market, and what are the different policies or reactions that you do, things that you might do to help offset, seeing that decline. Do you just let it get to you? Do you just, you get angry and you kick the dog type of attitude? Or do you say, hey, this is part of a bigger thing and this is the reason why I'm getting stressed out, or I'm overly focused on these macro stressors, how do you personally consider dealing with this dynamic as you watch your portfolio decline? Does it deeply upset you, or do you have, mental checks in place, checks and balances, where you start saying, oh, this is how I find comfort. This is how I find solace. I'd absolutely love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this video, once again, please make a point, hitting that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in.